Hello everybody, hello Year 10, it is Miss Christie here with your first YouTube video lesson of lockdown number 2. I hope you are just as excited as I am. Okay, so as you can see from my opening slide, these lessons are going to be focusing on your GCSE English language skills. What we are going to do in each video, I am going to take you through a set of skills or a specific extract that's going to help you prep for your GCSE English language. At various points in the video, I'm going to ask you to pause and I'm going to ask you to do an activity or do an exercise for me. So everybody now, if you don't already, needs to pause the video, go and get themselves a pen and a paper, and then come back and start playing again. Okay, I'm going to assume everybody has pen and paper. So my lovelies, without further ado, let's get into your GCSE English language skills lesson. So, if you don't know already, your GCSE English language is split into 2 papers. You have a paper 1 and a paper 2. Paper 1 is fiction, so it's stories, it's things that aren't real, it's stories. You get given 1 extract, an extract that you've never seen before, that you have to read in the exam. Your teachers don't know what it is, none of us have a clue. And then it's split into 2 sections. Section A gives you 4 questions, which asks you to analyse the language and the structure of this extract. And then section B is creative writing. So you either need to write a story or you write a description of a picture. Your paper 2 is fairly similar, but this one is non-fiction. So it's things like newspaper articles and speeches and things that are actually real, things that aren't made up. For this exam, you have 2 extracts, and again, you're split into a section A and a section B. The section A of paper 2 gives you 4 questions, and it asks you to analyse and compare the 2 unseen extracts. And then section B is non-fiction writing. So you will be asked to write a speech, an article, a letter, or some other piece of non-fiction writing. In these video lessons, we are going to be practicing the skills that you need to understand and to be able to do these questions. Okay, so as I've said, we're going to be practicing our reading skills. We're also going to be looking at both fiction and non-fiction texts, because as I've said, you've got those 2 papers, those 2 different exam papers, 1 fiction, 1 non-fiction, but don't panic. A lot of the skills that you will use are exactly the same for both. So if you can do it for paper 1, then you can do it for paper 2. Okay, what I would like you to do now, I am going to show you some key terms. I would like you to write them down. So if you need to pause the video and give yourself time to write them down as I show them to you, please do. But make sure you leave yourself plenty of room to add more information. I would say if you are working on an A4 page, you probably want to only do 2 key terms per page. Give yourself plenty of space to add more info. Okay, inference. Please write down the word inference. Then leave plenty of space, and our second key term is connotation. Connotation. Give yourself plenty of space again. Word number 3 is symbolism. Symbolism. And the last one I want you to write down, analysis. So 4 key terms you should have written down with lots of space. If you've missed any of them, pause, rewind, make sure you get them all down. Because what I would like you to do now, pause the video, then you are going to look up and write down definitions of these 4 words. That's why you needed to leave yourself plenty of space. So look up for me. You can use a dictionary website, or if you just type into Google, that will probably help you. You might already think you know definitions for some of them, but pause the video, look up and write down definitions of our 4 key words. Once you have your definitions written down, press play again and we'll carry on with the lesson. Okay, hopefully we have paused, we have written, and now we are continuing. Okay, so with any luck, you're still going to have a fair bit of space around your words. If you don't, if it's starting to get a little bit cramped, be prepared to go onto a new page, because I don't just want you to write the definitions down, I now want us to practice what these key terms actually mean. So let's get started with our first one. Our first one was inference. Inference, basically, is working something out based on information that you are given. So the example I always give if we're in school is, if I walk into the classroom and I look like this, and I sit at my desk with my head in my hands, and I'm always yawning as I'm trying to talk to you, you might infer that Miss Christie is very, very tired today. I haven't told you, but you've looked at all the evidence and you have inferred that I am tired. On the other hand, if I come bounding into the lesson and I've got a big smile on my face, I'm waving my hands about, and it's all exciting, we've got a little bit of a dance going on, you might infer that Miss Christie is very happy today, which hopefully I normally am if I'm teaching Year 10. The example I've got here is, if you ever saw somebody walk in somewhere holding a wet umbrella, you might infer that it's raining. You haven't been told it's raining, no one's actually expressly said to you, it's raining outside, but you have taken the information you've been given and you've worked something out. That is called an inference. Okay, what I would like us to do now is practice our inference skills. So, we're going to read together some character introductions. These are introductions of fictional characters from very famous books. After I have read each introduction to you, I would like you to pause and write down what you can infer about the character. So from the information we are given in this introduction, what kind of person do you think this character is? Number 1. Emma Woodhouse. Handsome, clever, and rich, with a comfortable home and happy disposition, seemed to unite some of the best blessings of existence, and had lived nearly 21 years in the world with very little to distress or vex her. She was the youngest of the 2 daughters of a most affectionate, indulgent father, and had, in consequence of her sister's marriage, been mistress of his house from a very early period. Her mother had died too long ago for her to have more than an indistinct remembrance of her caresses, and her place had been supplied by an excellent woman as governess, who had fallen little short of a mother in affection. Okay, guys, pause the video here, please, and just jot down, what kind of person can you infer that Emma Woodhouse is from this introduction? Okay, hopefully you have made some notes and you've then pressed play. So this is what I've got. These are the things that I would take and the pieces of information I would infer from, the ones that I've coloured in. Okay, so she is handsome, clever, and rich. I am going to infer she's good looking, she's handsome, she's clever, okay, and she's rich. Basically, she's got everything. I'm going to infer this is quite a spoiled person. She's probably quite, maybe a bit full of herself. You've got that absolute combination of good looking, clever, and has lots of money. I'm almost wondering if maybe she's, I don't know if I think I'm going to like her. I think maybe she might be quite a stuck up kind of person. Not sure. She had a comfortable home, so I'm going to infer from that again, maybe she's quite spoilt. She doesn't really know about the harder things in life. Maybe she's naive. I'm sort of getting the idea that she's clever, but she might not know very much about the world. She's lived with very little to distress or vex her. Now, again, the thing I keep inferring here is that she is spoilt. So if nothing is happening to distress or vex, to upset her or make her angry, I infer people kind of do what Emma wants. She's got the money, she's got the attractiveness, she's got all of this, and everyone kind of tiptoes around her and makes sure that she's always happy. We know she's the youngest. Again, what do we infer about the younger sibling? Are they always the one that gets looked after a little bit? Are they always the one that's allowed to do things before their older sibling were allowed to? Again, maybe a little bit spoilt. And we know her father is affectionate and indulgent. So he obviously loves her, he indulges her and lets her do what she wants to do. Definitely getting the spoiled brat vibe now. Her sister was married, and so Emma was mistress of the house. She's in charge. She's the one who runs the house. Her dad lets her do whatever he wants to do. I'm happy with my inference that maybe she is a bit of a spoiled brat. But here I feel a little bit bad because if her mother had died when she was very, very young, maybe actually what I infer from that is that she's had to grow up too quickly. Maybe she isn't spoilt. Maybe it's not the fact that everyone's just letting her do whatever she wants. Maybe actually when her mother died, she had to learn how to grow up really quickly and she has to take charge of stuff. I don't know. Two inferences there. Okay, we're going to have a look at this one. You might recognise this. This one is from His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. So we're going to read it, then you guys are going to pause, and you're going to see what you can infer about this character. Lord Asriel is a tall man with powerful shoulders, a fierce, dark face, and eyes that seem to flash and glitter with savage laughter. It was a face to be dominated by or to fight, never a face to patronise or pity. All his movements were large and perfectly balanced, like those of a wild animal, and when he appeared in a room like this, he seemed a wild animal held in a cage too small for it. Pause the video. What can you infer about the character of Lord Asriel? Okay, welcome back. Let's see what I went with. Okay, Lord Asriel, first of all, I can infer this man has some kind of authority. He has a title. He's probably used to people doing what he says. He's used to giving instructions. He's a commanding man. Powerful shoulders. If you've got powerful shoulders, I'm thinking he's strong. I'm thinking he's used to doing work. He's used to carrying heavy things about. He's used to, I don't know, being outdoors and doing very kind of physical things because he's powerful and broad across the shoulders. A fierce, dark face. Okay, so he's a little bit scary. He's fierce, but a dark face. I'm thinking maybe he's in a bad mood quite a lot. Maybe it might mean dark face in terms of his actual skin color. So he might be very, very tanned, or again, with that links in with the being outside kind of thing. But the fierce bit is what worries me there. I think this man might actually be quite a big, scary man. This description of his eyes, they flash and glitter. That kind of makes me feel like he's clever. You know, if you see people and their eyes are always moving around and you realise they're taking everything in, they're observant, but he's got a savage laugh to him. Again, that idea that maybe he's a little bit scary. He's a big man and his movements are large, but he's also perfectly balanced. So now I'm wondering, okay, is this guy some kind of athlete or fighter? Because if he's a big, strong man, but who's always perfectly balanced and knows how to hold himself, I would like to know more about how this man learned how to be so perfectly balanced. And then we link back to that kind of savageness that he had. We get to him described as a wild animal twice in very short succession. This is clearly somebody who wants freedom, who will fight for freedom, who needs to be outside and moving and doing things. I don't think he's the kind of person that you can tell what to do, you can give instructions to. Okay. Hoping some of those things were the same things that you went for. Let's move on and have a look at our next keyword. So our next keyword was connotation. Connotations are the things that we associate with other things. So everything will have their own connotations, pretty much. So, for example, the colour red has connotations of love or hate or danger. What do you think of when you see the colour red? They are its connotations. Okay, I'm going to show you two words. I would like you, please, for each, pause the video and write down all of the connotations, all of the things that you associate with these words. So your first word is diamonds. Pause the video and write down all the connotations you can for diamonds, please. Okay, let's see. You may have completely different ones, but these are the ones I came up with. Diamonds are expensive, they're rare, they're a rock, which means they're cold and they're hard. Diamonds are the toughest. I think it's literally the toughest substance on earth is diamond, actually. But they're also sparkling, they're shiny, so they're quite beautiful in a way. Quite often you get diamond jewelry, which led me to think about engagement rings. You might associate diamonds with romance and engagement rings and marriage. So quite a wide range. We go from them being hard and cold and quite negative connotations to them also being sparkly and shiny and rare and valuable. But then maybe there's also some more kind of romantic connotations that you can have to diamonds. So connotations can come from all over the place and they can all muddle in and meld. You don't just have to pick one strand or one theme for something and stick with it. You can mix it up a bit. Okay, try another one. Let's try the word home. Pause the video, please, and write down all the connotations you can think of for the word home. All right, welcome back. Let's see what I've gone for. Let's see if I have any of the things that you came up with, or do you have completely different ones? In its basic, quite often a home is just a house, isn't it? Sometimes it's comfy, it's the place where we feel comfortable. Maybe it's warm. I hope it is warm because the weather is freezing at the moment. Maybe when you think of home, you think of it's the place where you're safe. It's your place of safety. It's stability. It's where you always come back to, even after maybe you've been away traveling, you go to uni someday, but you might always want to come back home because it's where you know you're safe. It's something familiar. You know where stuff is in your house. You know the Wi-Fi password. You know what you're doing when you're at home. Sometimes, actually, though, a home isn't about a house or somewhere physical. Sometimes your home is when you're with the people you love. You're with your family and your friends. And quite often people always say home is where the heart is. So yeah, again, guys, connotations can run all the way from just being bricks and mortar, physical house, all the way around to the emotions that we have when we're in our home, round to actually maybe a home isn't a physical place, maybe a home is people. And all of these connotations are completely valuable. If you can back it up, that's a perfectly good connotation. Right, let's go to number 3, symbolism. Symbolism is when you use something to represent something else. So, for example, you might use a crown to represent royalty. We're going to read the following extracts. They're quite short, don't worry. Once you have read them, I would like you to pause the video and decide what is being used as a symbol in this extract and what is it being used to symbolise. This is from Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. It is one of my very, very favourite books. So, my love for Linton is like the foliage in the woods. Time will change it, I'm well aware, as winter changes the trees. My love for Heathcliff resembles the eternal rocks beneath, a source of little visible delight, but necessary. Pause the video. What is being used as a symbol in this extract, and what is it being used to symbolise? Let's have a look at your answer. The answer is nature. So foliage, woods, winter, trees, rocks. Nature is being used to symbolise love and the different kinds of love that this person has for these two men. So the love for this guy, Linton, it's changeable. Maybe sometimes it'll be really strong, like in the summer, but maybe sometimes it'll die off like trees do in the winter. But her love for Heathcliff is like the eternal rocks beneath. Maybe you don't always see it, maybe it's not always obvious, but it doesn't change. It's always there. She's always going to love him. Nature symbolizing different kinds of love. Okay, let's try this one. This is one of the stanzas in a poem by Edgar Allan Poe called The Raven. This is the very last stanza in the poem, by the way. It's not very long. If you want to go find it and read it, I highly recommend it. The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor. And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. Pause the video. What is being used as a symbol, and what is it being used to symbolize? This is quite a hard one, so let's see what we get. This whole poem, throughout this whole poem, it's not very long, do go read it, but throughout this whole poem, a raven is being used to symbolize sadness and depression. This is a poem about a man who's alone in his home. He's lost somebody that he loves. And one day a raven flies into his house and just sits on top of a statue, a pallid bust of Pallas. It just sits above the door of his bedroom. And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. So the raven is throwing a shadow on the floor, and this poor man's soul will never be lifted up. He'll never feel happy again. So the raven, this black bird, symbolizing sadness and sorrow and maybe even depression. That's quite a hard one, but do go read the poem because it's really, really amazing. Okay, the last one is analysis. Analysis is where you study something in depth and you pull apart all the possible layers that you can to it. You really, really explore it and just analyze it almost scientifically. We are going to be analyzing texts in these videos moving forward. And if you combine those first three key skills, so your inference, your, oh God, what was it? I'm panicking now. It was inference, it was symbolism, and it was connotations. There we go. Sorry, had a moment. If you can spot connotations, you can spot symbolism, and you can infer what these things mean, then you're going to be analysing really, really well. So guys, in our next video, we're going to start inferring and looking for connotations and symbolism in some longer extracts. We'll probably just have one extract per lesson that we will look at, and we'll start to really unpick and get our analysis skills top-notch. Great job, everyone. It's always a pleasure. I'm excited to be back on YouTube again. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Take care of yourselves, and well done. Bye.